Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and all things Hollywood here on the show. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by two friends of the show, Matt and Amanda from Candid Cinema. And today we're here to give our thoughts about the latest movie that hit theaters this past weekend, The Last Duel. And before we begin today's review, you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we'd love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. So what's going on, guys? How's life?
It's going.
Yeah.
Stressful still. October's messy, man. Like, there's so much to watch. Like, I'm drowning.
This is March all over again. Like, March was hell. It was terrible.
God. I know.
I didn't think I was going to make it through. And then, like, badgering about Zack Snyder's Justice League. That was literally the worst experience I've ever had.
Social media was a freaking disaster when that thing came out.
You guys actually Justice League it was like, oh my god.
I'm guilty of it because I spammed restore the Snyderverse over and over again when it came out. I was like, dude, you better start restoring the damn thing. We want to see it finish.
Well, yeah, we got part of it. We got part.
we got part, and we're like done.
All we got is a taste.
Yeah, gave us a taste. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a crazy weekend. I mean, my team, the Vikings, won that day, and we did the Chamber of Secrets recording yesterday, and then we did the Halloween draft. I was like, wow, it's been a crazy weekend, and I was a little exhausted.
Yeah, it gets a little crazy.
Cray.
For sure. Depending on what you're doing, and it's like, I'm like, I just had to start this Harry Potter movie series like this late, but it's fine. It's fine. As long as it's done before the year is over, we'll be good to go. Really quick before we get into our Last Duel review, anyone watch DC Fandom? We're not like covering it on the pod, but I don't know.
Yeah, I covered it for Geek Bomb. But like, I guess we were talking about it like on Cinemania World too, where like the schedule was so bad this year because we didn't even have a schedule like compared to last year. So last year we had a full schedule for 2 days. It was live versus this year where it was
one day,
yeah. 4 hours. Yeah. Pre-recorded, and they crammed everything into the 4 hours, but it's also like stuff that they already showed us. Like, yeah, cool. We got some concept art, but like Shazam, Fury of the Gods and Aquaman both already started filming. Like, we should have gotten more footage. The Flash gave us footage, right? And then the best thing about that entire day was the freaking Batman trailer.
And they saved that to the very end.
Exactly. I'm like, you tuckered us out for 4 hours. You really think that I'm going to be like as excited for the Batman trailer? I was, don't get me wrong. But like, I was like hyped up on like 4 cups of coffee trying to get through this shit, man. Like, I was like, it's exhausting. I don't care about the CW shows. I don't care. I'm sorry.
You're not alone in this.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, cool. Grant Gustin is finally getting the boots that Barry Allen wears. Like,
first of all, nobody really cares about the Flash show because it's already going down the toilet, especially after the backlash from the last season. It's getting worse and worse. Like, who gives a shit if they have the gold boots? Who really cares? I mean, I'm more excited for the Flash movie. That's more intriguing than this stupid show.
What I think that they should have done was that, like, if you're just gonna have a discussion with these people, and Leo also mentioned it, to just put those conversations on their YouTube channel.
Exactly.
And just focus on the bigger stuff.
Peacemaker thing. I was like,
that thing was half an hour. Bro, that thing was half an hour. I was like, I'm going to go take a nap because this does not need to be half an hour for a character that you just showed us in the Suicide Squad.
And then they finally showed us the trailer. And I was
like, finally, get to the trailer. Just shut up already.
We weren't really...
Just drop it.
The one dumb thing they did during the DC fandom for the CW, Superman and Lois, because I thought we were going to get a little something teased from season 2, but you know what they did? They did this whole stupid MTV crib style. Hey, hey, let's go. Let's take a tour around the Kent house, and then that's it. I was like, what the hell was the point of that?
Last year was definitely
Supergirl.
Like,
I don't give a crap about that show.
Was Henry Cavill going to show up at the house? Who knows?
Nope.
We didn't get that.
You never know.
He's on to other things in his career.
Yeah, but the saving grace of the DC fandom was definitely the Batman trailer. That's what I've been looking forward to, and it really delivered.
I wanted to see more of they kind of did more with like Static Shock. Like they kind of touched on that. I was kind of excited for that. They kind of touched on Batgirl, not really. They did a little bit of the Cape Crusader, the new animated series. They actually showed us a little bit of footage. I was surprised, but yeah, it just felt like updates of like announcements we got last year.
And they showed us a little bit of Blue Beetle, that they're working on the project for HBO Max movie, and they got the actor who played Miguel in Cobra Kai to play the character. And I was like, yeah, because that's what I was hoping. And they actually confirmed it, because it's been rumors going around that he was cast. And I was like, yeah, this is the right guy to play Blue Beetle. And I saw the concept art of the suit. I was like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, like the Black Adam trailer looked pretty cool. Didn't really care too much for the Flash, because I don't like Ezra Miller. I just don't. I
love Ezra Miller trailer. Literally, sorry. That Black Adam trailer, I lost my freaking marbles, and I'm so happy it was at the beginning. Yeah, I was like, yes, we're gonna start off great with the Black Adam. I was like, and then it just like fizzled. I was like, great guys, you put that at the top of the freaking hour. He looks amazing. You can tell that this has been in development for like 10 years. You can tell that this is a passion project. And I really love it within that little snippet. I'm pretty sure they still have to go to post-production, but it looked so polished already and so detailed that I am like terrified for my Shazamly to actually meet Black Adam. Like I'm so scared.
But also, if you have Henry Cavill's Superman with the Shazam working together, taking on the Man of Steel, hey, Dwayne Johnson gets what he wants. He wants Henry Cavill to come in as Superman. He gets what he wants. Don't you say that.
Well, yeah, that kind of concludes our DC fandom coverage here on the pocket now. Well, yeah, I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts, because I thought it was okay. I mean,
the show is underwhelming, but some of the stuff they covered was like so good that we're trying to get over the hangover with some of the great DC trailers.
Yeah, and whatever. It is what it is. You guys ready to talk about The Last Duel?
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We'll be right back with our The Last Duel review right after this short break.
A most unspeakable charge has been brought against you.
Jacques Legris entered our home. He attacked me.
The accusation is false.
I am telling the truth.
The truth does not matter. There is only the power of men.
This should be settled quietly. I'm innocent! I request a duel to the death.
If you lose, your wife will suffer dire consequences.
One of us has lied. Let us let God decide.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our The Last Duel review. This is directed by the famous Ridley Scott. And a few writers on this as well is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Nicole Holofcener. And stars Matt Damon, Adam Driver, and Jodie Comer, and of course not Matt Damon. Wow, Ben Affleck as well. My gosh. And the story is as follows: King Charles VI declares that the Knight Jean de Carrouges. I think I got that right. I don't know.
De Carrouges.
De Carrouges. There we go. Sorry. French is not my second language. Neither is Spanish, but it's fine. Settles his dispute with his squire by challenging him to a duel. Dun dun dun. I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. So I guess we'll go around the show here really quick. We'll get everyone's initial reactions. That'll be more so of the spoiler section. And then when you hear this bad boy, that means we'll get into spoilers. So again, that means we'll be getting into spoilers, but not yet. So I'm going to pass it over to Matt first so he can give his initial reactions. Then we'll go to Amanda, and then I'll give mine.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Ridley Scott since Gladiator and Alien, and I thought he's a great filmmaker of making these types of medieval stories. And yeah, he's made a lot of stinkers in the past, but I thought The Martian was his big comeback. And being announced that The Last Duel was about to become announced and it's directed by Ridley Scott, and you got a great all-star cast, and you got Matt Damon returning for the second time, and you got Ben Affleck and Matt Damon writing the screenplay together, and this is the first time in a long time they did it together since Good Will Hunting, which I found out till later at the end of the credits. I was like, what? And I really love this movie. I thought it was the great cinematography, and I love that Ridley Scott was able to tackle some of the subject matter and showing the three different chapters from each character's point of view, from their truth, to Matt Damon and Adam Driver and Jodie Comer. The two of the standouts was definitely Jodie Comer and Adam Driver. They were the scene stealers. This is an Oscar of worthy performance. I really loved that we were able to see the different point of view of their own truth, but the real truth is definitely Jodie Comer.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And actually, before we get to Amanda, for anyone out there watching, I did want to give just a bit of a trigger warning, because there are a few events that happen in this movie that some people may feel, may relive certain aspects of their lives. So just wanted to throw that out there before we even get into spoilers. So go ahead, Amanda, with your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, by the way. That's it's really important, because a lot of people on socials have, I'm guilty of that too. I've been telling people to watch it because I personally think that it's a very important film. I do think that 20th Century Studios and Disney especially should have put a disclaimer at the beginning of this film, or like with the trailer or something, like just notifying people what they're about to watch when they go in here. I had very low expectations going into the last Duel. I don't know why I did. I think Ridley Scott is extremely talented. I really enjoyed The Martian out of the past, 10 years that he's done something.
He did Raised by Wolves as well, I think, for HBO Max.
I think I missed that one. But you watched it, right?
Yeah, me and Leah both watched
I remember.
It.
What were you talking? What did you say?
Raised by Wolves.
That was so good. You got to check that out. The show's amazing.
Really, super sci-fi. But sorry, continue.
No, of course. No, I didn't watch it, but I remember you raving about it. I think last year you were talking about it. So Ridley Scott is very talented. I was very surprised that he chose to work on a project like this at his old age and completely nail it the way he did. We'll talk about the structure of it afterwards, but in my initial thoughts, I did not expect to I don't want to say enjoy because of the subject matter, but I enjoyed the structure of this film and the technical aspects that are presented in order to tell the story. And I personally think that this is a very important film for many people to watch, because it shows different perspectives from different people in different situations at different moments in their lives. And it creates a very well-rounded character arc for all three of the characters that we see per chapter. So I think it's an important film, and I enjoyed what Ridley Scott did with it. I was very surprised with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to piggyback back of both of you guys here. Sorry, I cannot talk today much like any other day, but I took my mom to go see this. She was in town, and I was surprised she came, because I've been begging her to. I'm like, Mom, we got to go to the movies. She's like, why do you want me to come to the movies every single time I come? I'm like, well, this is something to do. But she actually enjoyed it herself. I'll give her thoughts here after we get into the spoiler section. But for mine, I didn't really know what to expect from this. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, yes, medieval, that is, it's that, that is my bread and butter. Anything like Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, anything of that nature. I've always just gravitated towards the high fantasy medieval-esque genre for whatever reason ever since I was a kid. But I mean, I really did enjoy this. The nonlinear storytelling, I've always enjoyed that style of storytelling. And overall, like you said, the performances were great. The cinematography was pretty great too. And the dialogue scene, the super heavy dialogue scenes, you're just sitting there, and I was like, what's going to happen next? And of course, when Amanda was saying, it's hard to say I enjoy this film because of the subject matter. But it is really nice to see, everyone's side of the same story and filling the holes in as we go along. Because when you first start this movie, you might be a little confused. Not even within the first 10 minutes, just even after that, when it finally gets into the story, when it starts with, with Matt Damon's character, and then, shifts between Jodie Comer and Adam Driver's character as well. But it's kind of not more of like a he said, she said thing, but kind of just figuring out, okay, like what really happened, because I thought something else was going to happen, and so did my mom, but it didn't happen. So I was kind of like, okay, well, this is good. But yeah, overall, just between this and Halloween Kills, like it really sucks that this movie is not making as much in the box office as it should. I think
it's just the reason why it's not making as much, because this is more of an Oscar contender. It's aiming more for the Oscars than the box office itself. I mean, most people don't go see like period piece movie drama.
Yeah, and like period piece, like it's always my jam. Like I'm a big Downton Abbey fan. I love that show so
yes.
So good. It's like, Halloween Kills for best picture, but it really does seem like this year has been the year for like these, mega franchises just, taking it. Like, I mean, I knew F9, Fast 9, whatever was going to do its thing, but I was like,
I can't.
Can we just stop with the
I
franchise
hate that
already?
Movie so much.
And like we got the Green
It was
Knight,
easily the worst.
It's like I really, it's fun to, we all enjoy like the franchise films, but it's the ones that really, like, I didn't expect this to be this good, like, at all. I was like, at first I was like, well, and then I was like, oh, okay, no, this is like really, really interesting. But it's like I really wish there were more, I guess, not casual or like average moviegoers going to see other things besides franchise blockbusters, because I feel like obviously anything Marvel, people are going to be there for. Anything DC, people are going to be there for. Any of these other big franchises, even there's like a new Transformers movie, people are going to be there because it's a part of a franchise. But it would be nice to kind of, give the attention to other films, which is why we, try to cover as much things as we can here on the show outside of like, the superhero genre. As much fun as it is, there are other films out there that need as much attention. So
yeah, I have to agree. I mean, this is the world we live in. Most of the movies they go to is a franchise or an animated family film. Yeah. And that's it.
It's Disney or Disney.
Literally, it's so bad. And it's funny because the last Duel is also under Disney now. So
yeah. I mean, and I wonder how long this one has actually been under production, because there's no way Disney would have like greenlit this like within the last year. But maybe
I think it might have been greenlit before the merger started to be completed.
Ben and Matt had this, I think, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay, because
they were trying to get into production. Yeah, it's based off of a book, and I always say that like Ben Affleck is the one that wrote Good Will Hunting and instead of Matt Damon, and Matt Damon just sat there. But I was just really happy that they were back together again, and considering what had happened with Ben during the entire movement, it was just really interesting to see that he would tackle something like this with a female, with Nicole Holofcener co-writing. So it was just a really interesting thing that he wanted to present.
Yeah, that is true. Ben's been through a lot for sure. It was really rooting for him and Ana de Armas, I'm not gonna lie. It really, really was. But it is what it is. But yeah, so those are pretty much my final thoughts. Well, not my final thoughts, excuse me. My initial thoughts. My gosh. So are you guys ready to just like get into spoilers? Because I feel like we're getting into that zone for spoilers. So,
yeah, sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your first spoiler warning of The Last Duel. Again, that is your second spoiler warning of The Last Duel. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it and come back and listen to the rest of this. So I guess where to begin? Jodie Comer was telling the truth for sure. I mean, it's always, like the victims, it's always going to be their truth versus, the he said, she said thing. But I was expecting that, but I will say, me and my mom actually both thought during the scene with her and Adam Driver that she was actually going to give in at some point, but I wasn't entirely sure because it kind of went back and forth like, oh, like, will they, won't they? But it didn't really seem like she was as interested. She was just being more cordial and very, presentable and nice, just being what I guess a good wife would be to like, her husband's squire. And of course, Adam Driver's character kind of taking that into his own hands and clearly misreading a lot of signals there. And I really just like how they, for like a split second, I thought she was like, well, maybe she would. I'm like, there's no way she would lie though. There's no point. And it's like, you know, she knows the law, of course, of the land when it comes to something like this, of course, for the last duel. But I just wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts on it, kind of just open it up to you guys if there's anything about the movie you wanted to talk about, anything that struck you in a good way or in a bad way. I guess we'll start with Amanda.
Yeah, sure. I think that normally when they do a disjointed narrative and they have three different characters, you know, telling different versions or different sides to the story, I hate it. I normally don't like it. They never do it properly. It's never engaging. It's more confusing than anything, in my opinion. So like I avoid that stuff. I don't really like that kind of structure. So, you know, at the beginning of this film, we start with Matt Damon, Jean de Carrouges, and we have his entire story, his entire chapter, and we see his backstory. We see him like struggling in the kingdom. We see him marry Jodie Comer. We see all of that and how he presents himself. I think that's the most important thing in each chapter, is that you see these three characters and how they present themselves, how they perceive themselves in the kingdom. And then what's so brilliant about what Ridley Scott does is that he changes the angle of the camera. He changes, and then Ben and Matt and Nicole change the angle of the story. So the perception switches, and Ridley Scott allows the viewer to also question conversations and, you know, just all of that within the three chapters, which is so impressive, again, at his age, to like tackle something like this, because the amount of cuts, the amount of like framing, like just all of that is like he had to film the same scene multiple times. Yeah. So the structure is the most important thing about this film, and I absolutely loved it. I was so impressed. And speaking of like seeing multiple scenes, you know, this is a trigger warning right now because there is an assault scene and we have to see. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, I was just throwing that in there.
Okay, yeah. There's an assault scene. It's very difficult to watch. But even watching it twice over, the first time you see Adam Driver and he's more playful. It's more playful. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, you see it in his perspective. You don't really see Jodie Comer, but you still, it's the implication of like, is it forced? And like we saw in like how he treats women in the kingdom, it's very forced and it's aggressive. And for me anyway, I was sitting there, I was frozen. I was like, this does not feel right whatsoever. Like it really, like it got me. And then watching it from Jodie Comer's perspective, in her act, The Truth, I was like in tears, literally just sitting there crying. And it was just the most effective, impactful thing that I've experienced in a theater in regards to that subject matter. So it's not light. That scene is not light. And Ridley Scott did it as tasteful as he could to actually get the story across, to get the truth across. And that's, again, a very important thing to take away from The Last Duel. So because the subject matter is a bit rough, again, like, take it easy if you can't handle that. Like, there's a reason why there's disclaimers on 13 Reasons Why as well. Like, seriously. I struggled with that season as well. So, yeah, it's an important watch if you can sit through it. It's all about perception and how people carry those conversations and how other people look at you. And it's just, it's fantastic work from Ridley Scott at the age that he is. I just rambled. I'm so sorry, but like, I loved it. I was very impressed with it.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Definitely from Adam Driver's perspective, I guess you could say that is the censored quote unquote version of, his side. And then of course with Jodie Comer, the real truth comes out for sure. But I'll pass it over to Matt to give his thoughts.
Yeah, the insult scene was very unpleasant to watch. And from Adam Driver's point of view, when you see his story play out, you realize that he led himself to believe that what he did was not rape. It was that's just how he believes that that's the way women were treated, because they were treated like objects. They were just properties to them. They were not to be taken seriously. When you see through Jodie Comer's perspective, it was not very pleasant. It was all wrong. And and he's lying to himself into believing that, yeah, I did not do that. I committed adultery. And seeing Matt Damon's perspective, he's known as to be a noble, great knight. And you've seen from his eyes that he did treat her well. But then when you saw Jodie Comer's perspective, he was a crappy husband. He did not care for her. He just needed to marry her just because to pay off his debts because her family's rich. And he was in a bit of a pickle at the time. And he was only doing the whole duel to the death because he wanted to be known as a hero, because he's kept getting crapped on because Adam Driver is the one getting the most more attention than him.
Yeah, that was weird.
And how brutal was the fight in the combat? Oh my God, that was like cringed. Game of Thrones level.
She cringed towards the end. I was like,
I'm not gonna lie, Damon was he's a total badass as a knight. Like, he is a great fighter.
Yeah, it was great. Like, I mean, the duel was like insane, but like just from the entire perspective, like where you're saying from Matt Damon's character, like from his from his perspective in chapter 1, it makes it seem like you kind of feel bad for him because he does get crapped on a lot.
Yeah,
like he's like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2, just constantly getting crapped on.
Ben Affleck's like, no, I like Adam Driver. He's cool. I don't like you. You suck.
It's just the funniest thing because, like, Ben and Matt, like, obviously, if you're gonna write for anybody, like Ben wrote that, be like, no, Matt, you're perfect for this role. Here you go. You're gonna be this guy.
Wig. I was like, at first, I wasn't feeling. I'm like, you know what? He doesn't look half bad in that wig.
Right? It grew on me too. I was actually, you know what? Ben Affleck gave a fantastic performance. Honestly, it was so low key, but he was like funny and arrogant, and he cracked me up. The line delivery, he did such a great job. Sorry, but he was great.
No, it's all good.
He's so good.
Yeah, it's Ben did not like Matt Damon's character at all. Just like he's like, I just don't like him. He's like, well, I just don't like him. It's like, okay, like, but yeah, like what Matt was saying, Matt Damon only married Jodie Comer's character for the money because he was in a bit of a pickle, and we don't really even see the wedding all that much. He's just like, oh yeah,
they just told them, do the wedding. Like, that's it, because this was an arrangement.
Yeah. So it was kind of just like a boom, boom, boom. And my mom was saying that, like, she didn't really like just how the women were being treated in the entire movie. And I explained to her, I'm like, well, unfortunately, back then, like, women were treated as objects. Like, that's literally how women were treated.
Exactly.
Like 100%.
That's just the way they were treated. In the duel to the death, I mean, this was before we even have like lawyers to solve any cases. No, they do a duel to the death and let God decide who was telling the truth or not.
And which is kind of messed up because it's, throughout the entire movie, like Jodie Comer gets mad at Matt Damon's character, and she's like, he's like, oh, I'm risking my life for you. And she's like, no, you're risking my life for your pride. And it's like, that's, yeah,
and he realizes it. Like, he called him out on his bullshit.
Yeah, and I mean, they definitely fought to the death because it opens up with that scene. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see what they're doing here.
Oh, and especially when he beats Adam Driver's character, he still is denying the fact that he did assaulted her.
Yeah,
but from the moment that he saw her in chains, he could have stopped the fight and ended it. But he knows that if he like backs out, then she probably would have had to be executed and burned to death.
I guess the lawsuit.
And he was like, you know what? I have to do this for her to protect her. I don't care if he's telling the truth or not. And he just jams that dagger down his throat. And I was like, oh my God, how fucking brutal that was.
It was great. It's very poetic too, because he went straight for his vocals.
Yeah.
His vocal voice,
his
right?
vocals.
So I found that was really cool, but also like Ridley Scott still got it with that combat, my friends.
He still got it.
I was like, this is giving me Gladiator type. I was like, oh my God. I was sitting there. You could hear the freaking blade, everything, the blood. I was like, yes.
Yeah, the surround sound and like, oh my God, you can hear it literally.
Yeah.
You feel it.
I would say would have shown this in like IMAX or something, but they only had like standard viewing.
Oh, if only they played it in premium screens.
Yeah. It was only standard screens, but yeah, what Amanda was saying, like the combat was great. Just the metal sound of the swords clashing was just like bone chilling. I'm like,
yeah,
this is all. It's kind of like in Game of Thrones with Hardhome when Jon Snow like kills one of like the superior like White Walkers with Longclaw, because like one of the White Walkers has kind of like a ice sword, and then John comes up with Longclaw because it's made of Valyrian steel, and you hear that bling! It's like a high pitch. I was like, oh, it was great. I was like, yeah, I definitely got those vibes from this movie. But yeah, the combat was fantastic.
In the court scene, like how ignorant these people were when she was pregnant, and they believe that, hey, if you had pleasure, that's when you'll have child.
People
you can't be pregnant if you were sexually assaulted. I was like, they actually believed it back in the day. They were very ignorant.
That's what was so like frustrating to sit through, is that like they showed the old mentality, yet living in today's day and age, it's more of like it's reconstructed. It's not that barbaric anymore, but like the whole like my body, my choice, like that's also still a conversation, which is like absolutely bonkers to me that it's still a conversation and people are protesting that, but it's just the conversation has changed. Like, sorry, the bones of the conversation like is still there, and the issues and all of that, and it's just evolved into something different. Women are able to speak up now, which is also amazing, as we've seen with multiple movements, and that's great, especially for like for survivors who've experienced that, right? So yeah, it's just that mentality. You sit there, it's very frustrating. Like I was very frustrated. You're sitting there, it's like, why are you saying this stuff?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like why? Like you're sitting there, like, oh my god, what the hell are they talking about? Are you really that stupid? Because back in the day, you're not going to think about it when you lived during that time. But it's just a better time to be alive now than better than back in the day, in the 14th century or beyond.
It's really 100%. Sorry, no, go ahead.
Because they can get away with anything back in the day.
Oh yeah, because I mean, it's all just about like he said, she said. You know, we don't
exactly.
Like,
not even couldn't find any hard evidence.
Yeah, like not even like, I mean, obviously like the technology and everything, but that's what makes like a lot of these stories so interesting, because you know it is like, oh well, you know, they could have just like took a picture or whatever. It's like, well, no, like back then it's, you know, I mean, people, you know, women were dying in childbirth, that was way more of a issue way back then. So it's like, and just I mean, people did not live very long back then.
No, they didn't.
Like, and
it was a short. Life was literally short.
And it's crazy to think. It's like, where did they come up with these rules that like a woman needs to, you know, experience pleasure in order to have a kid? And it's like, well, yeah, they clearly don't know anything about the human body back then.
That's what happens. It's manipulation through time to time.
Sorry, I was also laughing because like they were accusing of Matt Damon not being able to do it.
Oh my god! Can you just give this guy a break? He's still getting crapped on again.
I literally actually started laughing, and I'm like, Ben Affleck's like, yeah, you're perfect for this role.
Oh yeah, you're perfect for this role, bro.
I was like, that's just like a side note of like their friendship that just made me die of laughter while I was watching it, even though like it is a powerful scene.
Yeah,
but it's small things.
Dude,
like
I would sell my soul to hang out with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I mean, their friendship is just so well. Like, especially when they promote their own mace like twice, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So I guess so. Matt Damon's mother. I thought there was a bit of a conspiracy here, because when Matt Damon's mother takes all the servants, when, you know, before the happening, I thought it was some kind of payoff that Adam Driver's character made with Matt Damon's mother, because she didn't really like her all that much, like Jodie Comer all that much. So it was like, I was like, is this whole thing like a setup, or did she just literally just up and leave this woman all by herself?
Oh, I know, that was pretty crappy.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, just because like, how the hell did they even know she was by herself? You know, like it just didn't make any sense. So I think that she left, took all the servants, like it's very like planned out. So yeah,
it felt a little bit of a plot convenience. Like how the Adam Driver in his right hand man know that she was all alone.
Something.
It
had to be
totally.
It had to be a setup.
Well, technically, wait a minute. Matt Damon said that he was leaving for Paris.
Oh, right.
So never mind. He didn't know. He didn't know. He just didn't know that the servants weren't going to be there either.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know. Yeah. So technically, yeah, he. Not that Matt Damon set it up, but Adam Driver
Driver set it
plotted.
up. Yeah, plotted.
So that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and there was one scene from Matt Damon's point of view when she confesses what Adam Driver did. They totally cut the part out about him being furious to her, and they tell you saw from Jodie Comer's point of view.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, wow, dude, that took a different turn.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either. I honestly think that Jodie, if anyone from the cast has a chance to get nominated, I think she would get nominated for supporting.
Hands down, yes.
I think she would too, for sure.
Yeah,
Adam Driver was good in that role, though.
Oh, dude, he can do no wrong. I mean, he's in a position where he can pick and choose.
He picks the best projects to be a part of.
He does. And he's such a good villain. Like, it was just such a perfect role. And the thing for me is that, like, yeah, we've seen him as Kylo Ren, but it's just such a different, like, level of darkness to this character that I really appreciated. And he doesn't go for the same roles that he would kind of be like typecast as.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is very, like, he's chosen like so many different roles, and that's why, like, I'm just so excited to see.
Sorry. I'm just I got this really weird chill like through my body. I was like, whoa.
It's okay. Oh my God. But yeah, like, I love watching him. I think Martin Scorsese said it best, is that when he was cast in Silence in Scorsese's picture, which is a brilliant movie. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. He loves watching him. I'm like, yes, the man is very impressive. Like, Adam Driver is beyond impressive if you look at his filmography right now. Like, he's worked with Spike Lee, Scorsese, Noah Baumbach, Ridley Scott. Like, you know, it's just, the list goes on, and he's just so talented. I'm so excited.
In his early days, he was just known as the comedic role from Girls, an HBO show. Then he did a lot of rom-com shows like What If.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I never watched Sex and the City.
I only know that because of my mom. She used to watch it all the time.
Like, but the first time I saw him was in Girls. But, like, the thing with Adam Driver is that, like, he's just so intriguing.
He is.
Like, he has that's what makes him, like, attractive and, like, appealing, is that he's just such an interesting person to listen to and to watch. And that's amazing to have that level of, like, an X factor in today's, like, version of Hollywood.
Yeah. I believe he was a Marine as well. I believe he was an armed forces.
Yeah, he was definitely a Marine.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My favorite of his performance was definitely Marriage Story. I mean, that was so like,
good.
Wow.
I loved him in Black Klansman, though. God,
he was so great good. In Black Klansman.
Fantastic in Black Klansman. That movie is everything. Oh my God, I love Black Klansman.
I was like,
so
this should have gotten all the awards. Everything. Like, that was so good.
Give him a win. Please do. He earned it.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he picks the best roles. I mean, I'm sure we'll probably maybe see him in, you know, some kind of Marvel something at some point.
It really all depends. I mean, I don't know if he would want to pick Marvel right now after the fallout with the Star Wars Episode 9, because after the backlash that they had to deal with. And I think he's just more of a sticking with more of a drama projects here and there from time to time.
Yeah, I feel like the hate wasn't really towards Adam Driver, but it's
no, it was never towards Adam Driver. It's just the movie itself and the way that they wrapped up the trilogy, and it just became a downfall.
And that's why I saw a Twitter post. Someone was like, "Oh, between Harry Potter, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars, if you had to choose a fandom to get rid of," and I was like, "Bye, Star Wars."
Well, you know what my reaction was like? My reaction was like, "You can't do this to me. No, you're not going to make me choose." No,
if I had to choose, it would be Star Wars. It is.
It's the messiest one.
It's the worst.
It is
messy. Honest,
so bad.
I agree that it is a messy, especially with the fandom. But I think that now with the upcoming Disney Plus projects, and even after the Mandalorian season 2 finale, it gave me a lot of hope that we can still get more great content and give what the fans have wanted.
Well, for the new fans, I'm rooting more for them, because this is like a really good time to be a Star Wars fan.
The toxic has been going on long before that Disney bought Star Wars. I mean, it's been even during the prequel trilogy. There's been a big backlash. It was so worse. Like, look it up back in the day with the prequel trilogy, especially with the Phantom Menace.
Just like drove.
Did you know that? Yeah, Jake Lloyd got crapped on.
Yeah,
like he never saw the end of it when he was playing Anakin.
Yeah, him and the guy who played Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, and Yeah, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks, he was
Jar
tempted
Jar.
suicide. I was like, "Oh, poor guy."
It wasn't that like people.
I mean, I hated Jar Jar, but I'm not blaming the actor.
No, Christian, no.
Jar Jar Binks.
We all can't stand Jar Jar, but I'm not gonna like send death threats to the actor.
No,
like,
of course. I mean, they're just actors delivering lines.
Yeah.
They're just paid actors.
It's like,
they're paid to read lines and act them out. That's their job.
I sign a contract. I show up and do my lines. I go
It's
home.
not rocket science. It's common sense.
Yeah, people are crazy. But let's actually wrap up here. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I know it's getting a little late here, and I work tomorrow morning. So let's just give our final thoughts, and you can also end with your score of the last duel. We'll start with Matt, and then we'll go to Amanda, and then I'll give mine.
Yeah, overall, I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. It's definitely in my top 10 favorite movies of the year so far, and I know we still got a lot more to go for the rest of the year. And if I gave my score on Letterboxd of 4.5 out of stars, but for me, I'm going to give this thing a little bit of 8.5 out of 10. And I think when I go back and rewatch it again, I might like it a lot more and more.
Oh yeah, are you buying this on Blu-ray?
Oh, hands down. It's a great, worth a purchase on 4K Blu-ray. And if it were to come out on streaming service, I think it will. It better. It has to. Like, come on.
Beautiful.
And if it were to come out on streaming service, it'd probably be most likely Hulu, because they're not going to put this on Disney Plus. They're not going to put an R-rated content on there.
Yeah.
They will.
No, they will, because they're starting to. Yeah.
They put Free Guy. I'm not saying that that's R-rated, but that's a 20th Century Studios production.
Well, maybe in
so
Canada,
if Free Guy's on there. Oh, yeah, no, it's true. Actually, yeah, I'm sorry. It is. It's on the Star in Canada. So that means like Hulu, free. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, because in the US for 20th Century, they'll put it on Hulu because it's in the US.
She gets Free Guy, but we get HBO Max. So
yeah, and when I first saw that they were going to do Star content, I was like, oh, are they going to show it nationwide? But no, it's for the outside of the US. I was like,
I completely blanked. I always forget that like I'm in like La La Land here in freaking Canada. We get nothing.
Yeah.
I yelled at Crave Canada. I'm like, I need Titans on Crave.
No, you don't.
I can't deal with these spoilers anymore. Like,
so you don't have HBO Max in your country.
So what happens is that HBO Max is like affiliated with Crave here in Canada, and we get everything 5 months after.
This is why you got to stay off the internet if you want to wait for this shows that you were looking forward to.
I mean, I already know what happens.
It's so sad
for a specific finale of a specific show.
Especially when I stay up till like 2 a.m. to watch new episodes on Disney Plus, like Star Wars and Marvel, because I'm trying to avoid spoilers. And then I go to sleep.
Yeah, I just watch them either like as soon as I wake up, like maybe like, and I'll get up like a little bit earlier, watch it, then go to work. Usually, I mean, I always avoid spoilers that way. But yeah, I can't do like the 2 to 3 a.m. But sorry. So you gave it an 8.5, Matt.
Yes.
Amanda, what about you? Final thoughts and score?
Yeah. Like I said, I did not expect to like this as much as I did, but when I did watch it, it was a 10 a.m. screening, and that was like 3 hours, and I had to wake up early and travel downtown and like the whole shamoo. So I did give it a 3.5 out of 5, and now like the more I talk about it, like I kind of want to bump it, but I do think that it's because I was tired. And I was tired, and I kind of felt the runtime.
You had a long day that day, didn't you?
Yeah, so I had the last duel, and then it was like 2 hours, like an hour in the morning to get downtown, hour in the morning to get back. Then I had to write my review, and then like by the time I knew it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then I had No Time to Die.
Another long movie.
Another 3 hour movie.
But that's what happens, because it's hard to get into movies you're looking forward to, and you're probably not going to like it as much because you're going all over the place watching multiple movies in a day. I mean, it can be very exhausting. Like you got to really catch it in a good mood.
You do, but I had a good morning. Like I was excited to watch it. I just feel like I felt the runtime, so that's why it's 3.5 out of 5. But I'm pretty sure I'd bump it to a 4 out of 5 if I watch it again, because it was really well done. But yeah, they're all superstars. This cast, not one person gave a bad performance. They were all A+ across the board. Beyond impressed with Ridley Scott, which makes me very excited for the House of Gucci. just to see what he can do with that. Hopefully it's not 3 hours and 15 minutes as it was rumored. So this man is like 85. He's 85.
Yes, more than
directing
George
3-hour
At least he's
movies.
giving us some content. George, where's my buck?
Mark Scorsese, he's still directing. Like,
He's
oh my god,
and I'm like, those are
it's crazy.
George R. R. Martin needs to take some
George needs to come out of hiding, man. He's
go.
scared
We
from
got
that
2
Game
books
of
left.
Thrones finale.
Yeah.
He's like,
and you know what? He needs to come out of hiding, finish the rest of the book series, and undo the final season or 2 more seasons.
Yeah, again, and then we get
Just let's pretend that final season didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
We're not getting into that conversation. It's a whole other podcast for 2 hours.
3 hours later,
by the time it will be dawn. It's like, oh, it's daylight already.
Seriously, but yeah, for me, I'm giving this a solid. On Letterboxd, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really did enjoy it. I do agree. You definitely feel the runtime, but I feel like that's always like with any movie that you watch in the first time. Like, I mean, I rewatched. We did our Harry Potter Chambers of Secrets review, which of this recording will be out Wednesday. I think we're just going to drop this one tomorrow on Tuesday because this has been a crazy day, But yeah, like for Harry Potter, like I can watch all those and like not feel the runtime whatsoever because I've seen them so many times, and it's like Chamber of Secrets is like pretty much 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like this one's like maybe a little bit longer, but it's like
it looks long when you look at the runtime because you love it so much and you're so invested in the story, and you've seen it you watch it on multiple viewings and you already know the outcome and it goes by quick.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, we're here already. Yeah, like if I watch this again, like definitely I'm not going to feel that runtime. I hope, but yeah. Overall, it was just a great movie. I absolutely loved it, and I really wish it was getting a little bit more love in the box office. Everyone stop seeing Halloween Kills.
Please God, stop watching Halloween Kills for the love of God.
You know what? I actually enjoyed it. I did not hate it as much as many people did. Like, come on, it's not that bad. I mean, if you prefer, if you think it's that bad, watch the remake of the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Those were horrendous. It's horrendous. It's a lot worse than Kills. Believe me.
So, I mean, don't not watch Halloween Kills, but also go watch The Last Duel and also watch Dune on HBO Max and
which I'm seeing it this Friday in IMAX. I booked my ticket, which I can't wait.
It all weekend. I'm just gonna keep it.
This is gonna keep it going. That's what she did with Sex Matters Justice League. She just kept on repeat.
I did actually for the streaming numbers. Like I would do work and I'd have.
I'm
gonna watch the noir one. I'm gonna do this.
I forgot the noir one. The Justice.
I watched it over and over again, especially when I had the 4K Blu-ray.
Does it have the Justice League? I still kept on.
Yeah, does it have it on?
I have it.
I bought it.
Unfortunately, the Zack's Justice League on 4K Blu-ray, it doesn't have the Justice's Great Edition because they want to keep this. No, they don't have the digital version on VOD, unfortunately, because they want to keep their HBO Max subscribers because they still want to keep it exclusively to HBO Max. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that decision. But you know what? It's the show business.
Also, start normalizing only giving me the 4K version of a movie and the digital. I don't need the Blu-ray.
But I will say that if you don't have the 4K Blu-ray, trust me, it's worth the experience.
Right now.
It's much better.
I don't even have 4K compatibility on anything yet, and I still bought the 4K.
Get the 4K TV when you do.
Get the 4K player,
it's worth
4K
it.
TV, 4K.
I'm getting it.
My cable.
Beautiful.
Just go and buy a PlayStation 5. It's that easy.
Well, I'm waiting to do all of that at once. So.
Obviously, guys, I finally have a PlayStation 5. They're out on.
I did too, and I had it since like the beginning of February, and I was looking up on social media, and I had to turn on notifications to whenever it gets back in stock, and I had to be on my phone 24/7. I'm not even joking.
I've had mine since
it's not easy,
but it took me a bit to find my Xbox. But it was easier
lucky
to find my Xbox. A lot easier, but
I heard that too.
Yeah.
Actually.
But anyway, let's get on out of here, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Really quick, let everyone know where they can find you online and what's coming up on your channels and our websites. We'll start with Amanda, then we'll end with Matt.
Yeah, well, this was a blast. Thanks for having me again, Christian. This was great. You guys can always find me over at AMXND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can check out my website, candidxcinema.com. I just roasted Halloween Kills, and I am currently uploading my Halloween Kills review on YouTube over at Candid Cinema. You can definitely check out my Dune review on my website. I will be doing a YouTube review as well. And I also have an advanced screening of The French Dispatch on Wednesday night. So Timmy all the time. I have a back-to-back Timothée Chalamet night. I'm so excited. But yeah, you guys can find me there.
All right, Matt, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me at Twitter at Matt Wyatt651, and I talk about movies all the time on there with my mutuals, and sometimes I'm usually on the Discord when I'm doing voice chats with my friends. And if you want to find me on other social media platforms, you can go to the link and tree in the bio where I have a Snapchat, Instagram, and I do my reviews on Letterboxd, which 2 movies that I did recently review, which is, for instance, The Last Duel and then Halloween Kills. And I'm love being on the show. Thank you so much for having me back on for the 3rd time. I'm open to do more of this. I love talking about movies all the time. And like I said, I booked my tickets to see Dune this Friday in IMAX. I just can't wait to see it. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it, and people are just saying, like, you need to see this on the big screen.
Yeah, you definitely do. And for us, of course, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Film Optix. And coming up on the pod, we have a lot of stuff. We have our Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets review for our movie series review, celebrating 20 years of magic of Harry Potter. So Matt is also on that podcast, on that episode as well. And of course, we'll have our Dune review. I'm thinking instead of dropping it Monday, we might drop it Friday. Maybe.
Do it. I'm telling you, it'll be better for you.
Yeah. And then we still the French Dispatch, but that'll be later on. But I'm seeing Eternals early. That's right. I got my screener.
Oh my!
So I'm very excited. Was not expecting whatsoever.
Why?
Thank you. Thank you, Allied and Marvel, for noticing.
Lucky.
Me. So we have all that going on. And of course, we'll definitely do the French Dispatch later on. Next week, probably on the 25th to 26th. And we have our Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban review dropping next Wednesday on the 27th, as well as that is continuing. So, we're finally, we're here. We're getting to the 3rd movie. I'm very excited. All right, guys, we're going to close out here. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoyed the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And follow us on Twitter to stay in the know. That was Amanda, Matt, and my name is Christian. And we'll see you guys in the next one.